Niners, y'all said that defense was supposed to be better. What was that on their first preseason game of the year? I get it's preseason, but for the 49ers, it's a little bit more important. And still, their defense looked as sucky as ever.
It's football time.
Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast for sports, everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we're talking about the 49ers. After their first preseason game, ended not in the way that they had anticipated, as they were blown out 30-9 at San Francisco by the Denver Broncos, and along with their two former players, Tuliufunga and Dre Greenlaw. But the main mark of the game was the two picks that they had selected, Marquise Single and Nick Martin. As they had told, as each of them, Marquise Single had 7 tackles, with 5 of them being solo tackles, and then Nick Martin had 5 tackles with 2 solo. And then none of them had a pass defended. So my question is, I thought that defense was supposed to be better. Then what in the world was that yesterday? Because I know it's still the preseason because starters are still on the sideline. But still, well, I'm going to talk about that more in just a moment. Before we get started, though, if you guys do enjoy this video, do me a big favor and smash like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. For now, let's talk about the 49ers. The Niners. Of course, they had the first touchdown on the first drive of the game, of course, with Mac Jones as their quarterback. But then the rest of the game, the only points they scored was the safety. But the main thing I want to look at here of the preseason game is that defense. I get it's preseason and all that, but the play calling should be at least a little bit better, right? Under the calling of Robert Saleh. But Robert Saleh and that defense looked terrible in that game. Absolutely terrible. They were even worse. They looked even worse than some other teams in the preseason. And they had the lowest amount of points scored, out almost second lowest scored in the preseason week 1, second with the Tennessee Titans. But let me get this straight. You give up 3 touchdowns to Jarrett Stidham and Sam Ehlinger, 2 guys that are backups behind Bo Nix. And you couldn't even stop them, and you allowed 30? 30. I know it's preseason. I get it's preseason. But for the 49ers, it's a little bit more important because of that defense. We were all hearing it. I've been hearing it. The defense, and Niner fans have been saying, oh, this defense is going to be better under Robert Saleh. Oh, this defense is going to be a whole lot better. It's going to be a top 10 unit in the NFL. Well, what the heck was that yesterday? In the world was that on Saturday night? Because last time I checked, y'all gave up 250 yards passing, 215 yards passing, 153 yards rushing. That is, I mean, I know it's preseason. I get it. But for the 49ers, it's a little more important. Their preseason game is a little more important because they have defenders that are fighting for roster spots. And Marquise Single looked awful. Nick Martin looked awful. Nick Martin, I heard, oh, he's going to be a lot better than Drake Greenlaw. Oh, he's going to be so much better than Drake Greenlaw ever was. Well, Drake Greenlaw's on a much better team now. And he was on that squad last night. I believe he was playing for that squad. Let me check. I believe he was, but let me take a look, see. And I think he might have played for a few snaps. Oh no, he didn't play at all. But Hufanga really did. But I don't understand this. Your quarterbacks each threw one interception. Mac Jones, Carter Bradley, who I do not even know, and Tanner Mortenko. I mean, those guys are not big names, of course, other than Brock Purdy. But this is why I constantly say that not a fans this off season, their defense is not that better because of this reason. They looked horrible in their preseason game. I get preseason's preseason. Preseason doesn't have their starters in there, but still, it still shows that the coordinator spot of the defensive coordinators is still a question mark. Robert Saleh is still calling plays in the preseason game, and you still couldn't do anything because Robert Saleh was broken by the Jets. He was broken, crumbled into a million pieces by the Jets organization. And that's why I still say to this day, you should have kept the coordinator that got you to that Super Bowl. I believe you should have kept him. And I don't remember his name at this exact point in time. But y'all had one of the top defenses in the league that year. You had the second best defense in the NFL, second best passing defense as well. And also, I think it was like seventh rushing. But I have told y'all on a consistent basis, the letting go of Steve Wilks. That's his name, Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks was the main reason you made it to the Super Bowl that year. And with him gone and Robert Saleh in, ever since Steve Wilks left, the defense has only gotten worse. And this shows why. Robert Saleh was still calling plays. And you still, even with guys that are fighting for roster spots, still couldn't look like a top 10 defense. And I for real hope that this happens in week one, because if this happens in week one against you know who, I am going to be on y'all the entire season until that last meetup. Because this is what I have said. Just wait. Remain composed. No matter how good they look, no matter how good they want you to think they look, they'll always find a way to crumble. It's who they are. And this preseason game shows it. Their defense looks so bad, they probably made my grandma vomit because of all that. But this is exactly why I said that y'all would forever regret passing on Jalon Walker.
I'm flying! Yes! Wait! I'm gonna hit the ground, aren't I?
This is why. Jalon Walker, sure, he doesn't fit the scheme, but he's a defensive playmaker. He's a defensive playmaker. He's going to probably win Defensive Rookie of the Year in Atlanta. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. This defense of the 49ers is still a big question mark, especially after this game. You not only didn't even score a single defensive touchdown, you scored a safety, which is nothing in the NFL. Your two guys that you hand drafted looked absolute suspect. They looked awful. And Toledo Funga and Dre Greenlaw are lots better than that. Dre Greenlaw would have had 10 tackles in a game if he was there. And also, Marquis Single had 7 tackles. I bet Toledo Funga would have 15 if he was there. And he was, but of course, it wasn't in there that long. This is why I constantly said the defense is not better, because of this recent showing of the coordinators. So Robert Saleh, you need to get things together, or the Jets for real broke ya. And 49ers, if you don't get this defensive coordinator position fixed soon, y'all might want to be worried about week one. I'm just warning y'all know right now. In the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think the 49ers preseason game in week one is a big concern, or is it not? Let me know in the comments what you guys think down below. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, do me a big favor and smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.